हाँ रेवती मैम, मैम आ गई है।
Okay, okay.
ओके।
So with the permission of our chief guest and our beloved principal, may I just begin this webinar on artificial intelligence and law. Good evening, one and all. I consider it a privilege to be welcoming you all to this webinar on artificial intelligence and law, organized by the Center for Artificial Intelligence and Law, CALE, set up at Bharati Vidyapeeth, deemed to be University New Law College, Pune. CALE is the realization of the vision of our beloved principal, Dr. Bhagyashree Deshpande. It was her keen desire to set up a multidisciplinary platform dedicated to research and allied activities in the field of law and artificial intelligence that was the impetus for the formation of CALE. Today, we take our first step with this webinar. Gracing this momentous occasion, we have with us our chief guest, Dr. Jose Luis del Moral Barilari from the Prometheus Project on Artificial Intelligence and Law. We also have with us our guiding force, Dr. Bhagyashree Deshpande, Principal, Bharati Vidyapeeth, Dean to be University, New Law College, Pune. We are also joined by Dr. Aman Mishra, Advisory Board Member, CALE, Bharati Vidyapeeth, Dean to be University, New Law College, Pune. I welcome you all to this webinar, and I also extend a very warm welcome to the other invitees, esteemed members of the legal fraternity, our faculty members, student volunteers, the participants who are joining us via the YouTube live stream, and most importantly, the participants of today's webinar. May I now request our principal, Dr. Bhagyashree Deshpande, to kindly render the welcome address. Ma'am, please.
Yes, thank you, Revati. Good evening to all. Innovation and excellence has been the hallmark characteristic of our beloved Sahib, Honorable Dr. Patangrauji Kadam, the founder of Bharati Vidyapeeth, deemed to be university. Honorable Dr. Shivaji Rao Kadam Sir, Chancellor, Bharati Vidyapeeth, deemed to be university, is a perennial source of inspiration and guidance. Honorable Dr. Vishwajit Kadam, Pro Vice Chancellor and Secretary of Bharati Vidyapeeth, deemed to be university and the Minister of Maharashtra State for Social Justice, is a fountain of administrative excellence and is always extending a kind gesture to all those who are in need. Honorable Dr. Salunke Sir, Vice Chancellor, Bharati Vidyapeeth, deemed to be university, is a person of specification and precision. Bharati Vidyapeeth has been ranked 63rd by the NRF and is an epitome of academic excellence. Bharati Vidyapeeth New Law College is flourishing under the guidance of all these stalwarts. The New Law College is unique in itself because it not only believes that education has to be imparted either online or offline, just according to the syllabus, but also the application of the principles which are taught in the syllabus to be applied in the society. And that is why it has got a different way of functioning. The college has started various cells, and according to the interest of the students join the cell and learn about the application of the legal issues and the legal principles. The ADRS cell, that is the Madhyastata, it deals all those students who have an inclination towards the ADRS, have joined this cell, and they learn about the principles of the ADRS through the Madhyastata. The Madhyastata, among its various achievements, one of the best achievements is the creation of a single international platform for the students to know about ADRS. There are many national and international stalwarts who have joined this cell and are teaching the students through the platform of the guide draft. Those students who have an inclination regarding the environmental issues have joined the environmental cell of Bharati Vidyapeeth Nula College. The students of this cell, they not only learn about the environmental laws, but they also try to apply those laws in the society and create an awareness in the society as far as the environmental laws are concerned. So various programs have been conducted by the environmental cell to not only create the awareness of environment pollution, but also the steps to be taken to control the pollution. The students have gone through various schools, colleges, and the other sections of the society as far as bringing the awareness of environment pollution as well as environmental laws. The Legal Aid Center, another unique characteristic of Bharati Vidyapeeth Nula College, wherein this cell has more than 1,000 cases it has peacefully resolved and indulged into out settlement apart from the courts. It not only deals with the matrimonial cases, but also it gives a legal aid to all those people who are affected by the cyber crime. The cell was awarded this year by the Knowledge and Sit company the best legal aid center in India. We have another cell which was started this year itself, that is the Center for Finance, Banking and Taxation. The main aim of this center is to provide financial guidance and help to all those people who have been affected drastically by this COVID and are unable to manage the finances. So the students of this cell give an extending helping hand to manage the finance or deal with the banking issues, especially when the banking and the taxation has turned to online. So all the problems of the citizens who face some issues regarding the online banking or the other issues, taxation or GST, our students give a helping hand to all those. Now, a similar cell, that is the scale, artificial intelligence and law. As the times have changed, the concepts have changed because the society has changed. As we all know that the society is dynamic. So this new creature of artificial intelligence which has come up, the students who are interested in the concept of artificial have joined this cell. There are more than 250 members who have joined this. The main object of this cell is to understand the concept of artificial intelligence and to find out the utility of artificial intelligence in the legal spectrum. That is, what is the use of artificial intelligence for the students, for the lawyers, for the judges? What is the use of artificial intelligence in the courtroom as well as the research? Really, whether artificial intelligence can help us to understand better, in a better way, the thinking of the court. That is, whether through the help of artificial intelligence can we understand the distinguishing and the differentiating of a case, or to find out the precedents, or to find out the ratio. Another important aspect is what is the role of discretion in artificial intelligence, because discretion is a creature of human intelligence. So what is the role of discretion in artificial intelligence? If it is there, to what extent can discretion can be utilized by artificial intelligence? Or another aspect of artificial intelligence, that is the role of bias. Is there any concept of bias in artificial intelligence? Again, bias is a part of human intelligence. So does it have any role? And if it has, then what are the modalities to control this bias? And how far we can conduct legal research through artificial intelligence? Because as everyone knows that there is no legislation as far as the artificial intelligence is concerned, then our students are interested in finding out the liabilities of the user and the creator of artificial intelligence. So to what how can we determine the powers, the rights and the liabilities of artificial intelligence and the user of artificial intelligence? Along with these and various other issues, scale was established. As Revati has said, that this is the first step for Kale to understand the issues of artificial intelligence and the utility of artificial intelligence. we have organized this particular webinar, and we have a chief speaker, a very eminent personality. And without further delay, I think we should proceed further in the webinar. So I hand over to Revati for the other.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. You have highlighted the scope of the applicability of artificial intelligence to the field of law, and I'm sure that your vision is going to take Kale to great heights in the future. It is now time for what all of us have been waiting for. It is the time to lend our ears to our chief guest for the day. Before we go ahead with this, I believe that a small, brief introduction is necessary. Our chief guest for the day, Dr. Jose, is an academician and a lawyer. He has been a member of the illustrious Bar Association of Valencia since the year 1996. Sir was conferred his doctorate in law in the year 2015 with international mention by the Catholic University of Valencia. Sir is a member of the International Maritime Committee by the Spanish delegation since 2010, and he's also an advisory member of the European Intermodal Research Advisory Council since the year 2009. Sir was awarded the gold medal for professional career in scientific research at the Europe 2001 Forum in July 2015. He also holds to his name several publications in a wide variety of subjects. In the field of artificial intelligence and law, Sir is currently engaged in developing his research on the application of a philosophical mathematical structure to the areas of artificial intelligence and law and natural language processing. For the same, Sir has been collaborating with the following universities and departments. The Hein University for algorithmic development experiments of certain trading models, the University of La Rioja Department of Robotics and Artificial Intelligence for experiments of certain commercial models, and the Polytechnic University of Valencia Department of Artificial Intelligence for experiments of certain procedural models. A few of his studies in the same were published in the Geospatial Engineering and Operations magazine in October 2019 under the title The Prometheus Project, a proposal for the complete computerization of the legal process. Sir, it is an honor to have you with us today. May I now humbly request you to kindly address the gathering. Sir, please. Sir, could you please unmute yourself?
Let me see. Everyone hears
Yes, sir.
what I'm saying? Okay.
Yes.
Here in Spain, there is a very famous saying. It says that one is not well born if he's not grateful in life. As I want to be well born in the face of my mother, it is obviously that I'm going to begin making the appropriate acknowledgements. I want to say very much thanks to the Bharati Vidya Paith deemed to be University of Pune and the new Law College of Pune, especially in the presence of the Dr. Bhagyashri Deshpande and the Dr. Arman Mishra as advisory board member, and Ms. Revati Murati, the faculty coordinator that has been with me during the last 2 hours trying to see if it could everything goes well. Okay. As you know, I have sent a few days ago a very copious material for all the professors and students that I expect it would be of your would you say, this gusto, your like, okay? You can see in the carátula, in the first phase, in which you can see the tree, all the different links you can find about my person in YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn, and also in Facebook. For such purpose, in order to make this presentation, I thought that the best thing is to be introduced through a video that even if some of you have already seen, I think it could be convenient to repeat it because it's quite interesting to be seen again. Let me check one moment, please. If I can turn back to escape here. Yeah. Let me check here. No. Here, here, and here. ¿No?
Estamos viendo eso.
No se oye.
No estamos viendo de ti. Quizá tú te quieres compartir pantalla, ¿no?
No, no se funciona.
Pero tú te quieres poner un vídeo.
Jose sir, could you just go ahead and share your screen? Sir, am I audible to you? Jose sir, am I audible to you?
Dale finalizar, compartir.
Has it been listened?
So we could view the video, but the audio was switched off. It was muted from your end. So we did not get the audio, but we could view the video, sir.
Ah, but not the video, not the audio.
No, sir, we could not get the audio.
Oh, sorry. Okay, in any case, during my explanation, I think more or less the content of what is said in the video can be understood. Okay, let's check then a little bit about this. For me, it's important in this presentation that anyone knows basically what's the type of message that I want to give. And the message is that after 10 years of investigation, what I have basically found is the way to structure the complete area of humanities from the, let's say, philosophical, mathematical point of view, which means at the end of the day that by using this structure, all the professionals of law could be able to solve the problem, any legal problem, whichever is the language used by them, and what is more important, whichever is the legislation applicable by them. Okay? So that means at the end of the day that the most significant limits in the homogenization and the universalization of laws could take place thanks to this. Okay, this structure is not a very complex structure because it can be roughly learned in no longer than 2-3 months. Most of my students have been used by me as laboratory rats, okay? And I have perfectly checked that more or less in 2-3 months, the complete structure has been understood by all of them. In this occasion, what I'm going to try is simply to make a rough understanding, because we are a little bit in a hurry. We are talking about only 1 hour of explanation, but always taking into account that for understanding things, it is very, very important to go slowly, especially at the beginning. I think it's known in all parts of the world, the famous fable of Aesopus of the hare and the turtle. You must understand that in all the science, the 10 first steps are the most difficult one. In order to understand the importance of studying slowly the cases, I have put a very famous expression used by a lot of people all over the world, which is this one you can see in this graph, which is the expression carpe diem. I imagine no more than 100% of people consider that the correct interpretation of this expression that took place in very famous films, like I think it's called the Dead Poetry Society, yeah, means something like seize the day. The question is that a very, very simple investigation of this term, which is only a part of a sentence of a very famous poet in the past, says that the sentence complete is carpe diem quam minimum credula postero. And this basically means that you, instead of seizing the day, carpe means to collect. It's the name in Greek of karpos, which is the bone that is used in the hand in order to do something like this, and at the end of the day to cut the fruit. So at the end, carpe diem quam minimum credula postero means it's an agricole saying, and basically means harvest every day, because you don't know who's coming in the horizon. Okay, so in our case, this must be the same. We must not be in a hurry in order to understand this structure. We must, especially in the first 2 or 3 weeks on the study of it. Okay. Just a moment, please. I have another graph, and I don't know in this moment if you are looking this. Compartir. A ver.
Nueva función.
No.
Ahí sale eso. Ahora sí que se ve eso. Ahora se ve eso.
¿Ahora se ve?
Sí, míralo. Yo ahora veo lo que tienes ahí detrás. ¿Lo ves? Mira.
Ya.
José, ¿ves lo que se ve?
Sí.
¿Te ve a ti o esto? Entonces, ahora se ve lo que hay ahí atrás.
Ya, pero yo lo que quiero que vean es esto.
Sí, se ve, pero se ve a Messi y a la gente, pero no es lo que quiere ver. Se vea. Tienes YouTube puesto. Tienes eso detrás.
¿Quito esto?
Sí. Perfecto, José.
Ah, okay. This one is seen now.
¿Ahora ves algo más? No, ahora tienes... Ahora solo se te ve a ti y nada más. Vale. Ahora tienes que escapar de esta pantalla. Escape. Escape. Ok. Continúa el zoom. Abajo a la derecha. Abajo, aquí abajo. Eso. Ahí bien. Compartir pantalla. Y ahora busca la pantalla que quieres compartir. Perfecto.
Okay.
Perfecto, José, ya está, míralo. Vale.
Now you got it. Okay.
Ese es el carpe diem que no se ha visto.
Okay. This structure will help to develop 2 basic type of lines of production. One, the educative one, and the second one, the business one. The educative sector will take place basically thanks to the possible help of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, with which I'm now in conversations. The business part is going to have 2 basic branches. One regarding the artificial intelligence and law, that as I wish could take place, if it's possible, with your support as the new law college at Pune, India, and at the same time with the Harvard Law School, Massachusetts, with which the dean I'm talking now, Mr. Manning, and they wanted to be in this conversation. The problem is that due to the pandemic problem in which we are, is now making some arrangements in California, and it's impossible for him due to the difference of the timetable to be present nowadays. At the same time, the natural language process that we are wishing to do it here in Spain with the University of Jaén, Department of Natural Language Process, and also the Spanish Society for the Processment of the Natural Language. In the educational side, what we basically want to do is to, through a package of graphics that I'm going to provide in order to be correctly formed and designed. We are talking about a package of 5,000 graphs that explains all the different parts of the law, which is going to take place not only in this support, but also in any type of supports in the future. Basically, the structure has taken place thanks to the analysis of all the different languages all over the world. I'm not a philologist, but through these 10 years of studies, I have begun to be quite a specialist in the Proto-Indo-European language, which is the origin of the most important languages all over the world, except Japanese or Chinese and things like that. As you can see, in fact, the Indic language, whichever are their branches as the Hindi, the Marathi, the Gujarati, the Punjabi, and the Bengali, all comes from the Indo-Irani branch, and at the end of the day of the Iranian Greco-Armenic Proto-European branch. Basically, what had happened a long time ago, we're talking about 10,000 years ago, more or less, there was a tribe that was located basically in the Anatolian zone in Turkey, and then one day began to be stop being sedentary and begin to travel all over the world. In the left side up to Spain, France, and England, and on the left side up just precisely to the river Indo in your country. These all languages finally were divided in thousands of them because of the famous effect. All the people that have studied the Bible knows the Tower of Babel, when God says, come, let us go down and confuse their languages so they will not understand each other. Okay. At the same time, I've been capable of discovering, and when I say discover, is because what I've done is not an invention, it is a discovery, which means literally discover, I mean, to eliminate the cover of something. I've been capable of doing this by learning not only my specialties in law and philosophy, but also the study of the antique texts, and basically the Latin and the Greek languages. For this reason, I've been capable of studying the legal text, but with a critical and a logical attitude. This is the reason why I have more or less realized which have been the most important mistakes that have been committed in the history of the legal thinking. I have had no time to translate it to you, but I will send it to you translated, there's no problem. Here you've got from the first beginning, we are talking, obviously there are also some other more antique legal texts like the Code of Hammurabi, but here I study basically from the fifth century before Christ, with the figure of the 12 tables, which is the first basic legal text that recovers all the Roman law studied in the past. Here, as you can see, I specify which are the moments in which have been committed the most important mistakes. They say like the one according to which possession is an invention, because the real action that is done by the human being is the tension, not the possession, which is only a simple type of animus. Also, the moment that in which it was confused the figure of the debt with the figure of the obligation, and things of other importance, like the one you can see in this graph. What it's important for you to understand is which is the real character of the laws in the, let's say, the pyramid of the knowledges of the human being. Traditionally, we have considered that lawyers are something like, let's say, like artists, okay? With this graph, I think I can show and prove that laws are a part of the mathematical area of the human brain. In fact, the human brain can be divided in two very important parts. The one in the left, that is in green, I expect you will see in this moment, is the part regarding the arts. Arts come from the Proto-Indo-European term ar, that means elevation. That's why one would say aristocracy are the government of the ones who are in the upper layers of the society. Okay, and these arts are character as are that they basically want to elevate the spirit, whichever, regardless the fact of the techniques, which are the things you can see here, that goes from one part to another, and that make this division a little bit more blurred. Okay, despite of the case that the techniques can make it similar to mathematics. That's a typical example of what I'm saying is music. Music is an art. Why? Because the objective, the target of the music is to elevate the spirit, regardless of the fact that the solfeum, that is the technique used to do it, make it similar to the mathematics. Okay. At the same time, on the right side of the brain, obviously, in the case we could really divide by parts, which is not the real situation, because in science we know perfectly that depends on zones. But putting this in the right side, and so that it fulfills the rest of the quarter of the left side and the complete right side of the brain would be the mathematics. Mathematics, the mathematics means comes from the term mathematics comes from the Greek mathematein. That means basically instrument of learning. This zone of the area of the brain basically helps the human to observe the nature, to see what are the patterns that can be taken from it, so that with this and by using the criteria to be able to repeat a solution in all the casuistics that are in the natures. It's divided in two parts. The one in the left with the different science. Science comes from the Proto-Indo-European scale, S and C. The presence of S and C shows the presence of an instrument of cutting. In fact, the word skiing comes from the word the skiing comes from this origin, and it's because of the noise that the ski does when he cuts the snow. Okay, so science doesn't mean then neither mathematics nor we will see the languages that are used in the mathematical area. Science means every type of discipline that is divided not only in the left side in red colors, which would be the imperimental zones, and the one in the right side in yellow, that would be the experimental area. In order to make it a little bit more difficult, the problem is that there are also another criteria that makes this division a little bit also blurred, and it's the language used. The language that is used basically in the experimental area are normally the language of the arithmetics that comes from the Greek arithmos, that means numbers. Okay, and in the left side of the mathematics and even in the arts side, it's the language of the logics. Logics come from logos, that means words. Okay, but there are also other languages like the pictoric one, the plastic one, or the sonic ones. That's the reason why. That's the reason why the philosophy is not a term that is precise as science in this structure. And the reason is because, in fact, the origin of the term philosophy is basically a pure poesy. Why? Because a long time ago, in the period of the geometric specialist of Pythagoras, Pythagoras was asked to become in presence of a tyrant that governed at that time Athens, that was Leon. Okay. That is the origin of the word Leoninus. That means when a legislation is very, very tough. Okay, and he said to Pythagoras, people have told me that you are very wise, and he humbly answered, "I'm not wise. I'm wise in English. In Greek, is said Sophia, yeah, Sophos, sorry," and he said, in any case, I'm philosophos, and that is to say, I'm a friend of the philosophy. So that's the reason why the philosophy is not, let's say, a scientific term. The real scientific term is the mathematics. We, as lawyers or as practicals of lawyers, even if it sounds very strange for some of you, we are mathematics, as mathematic as could be Pythagoras. And the only difference is that there are some mathematics that are dedicated basically to the practical exercise of the professions, and there are others that basically are looking for the truth. And as a mathematical is dedicated to this type of activity is when we talk about the philosophy. Okay. Okay. Sorry. ¿Me oyes? ¿Ahora me oyes? ¿Me oyes? Sí. Okay. What I've discovered, my friends, is that at the end of the day, everything that is happening in the universe can be explained in a very, very simple structural way. Why? Because at the end of the day, everything that happens in the universe is reduced to what it figures out in this graph. That is to say, someone would be an agent, ages, which means something more or less like an act. Someone who is an agent ages or acts on a being, and at the end of the day changes it. This structure can be used whether for explaining what happened when a flower faints, or when there is a buying and selling between someone, a buyer and a seller. The question is that we live in a universe in which all these things happen as if it was a chaos. Okay? The same moment in which, for example, someone sells a product in China and someone buys it in Singapore with 1 month of difference. At the same time, there can happen a transport of goods between this place and another in a different time and space criteria. Okay, so we are going to see which is the way to difference all this chaos in order to create a complete structure of an act. But for this purpose, the first thing it is necessary to be understood is that all the things that are in the universe, which is at the end of the day a pure philosophical term, because universe means universe, that is to say me and everything that is around me. The first important thing that must be done is to realize that everything that is around me is not a being. Try, please, all the students and all the professors that are hearing me, try to imagine everything that is around you, whether it's material or it's immaterial, and try to define it without the use of the verb to be. Just behind me, I have a wall. If I want to describe what is a wall, I say, what is a wall? So then a wall is. Try to do with whichever thing you want. You will realize it's absolutely impossible to describe something, an idea, a bridge, whichever you want without using the term is. And that's the first big, enormous defy I had to afford in order to understand how the structure could take place. Why? Because the language to make the structure, and at the end of the day to make the algorithmic development, needs necessarily to convert the language in which we use one term with at minimum using 2 terms. It was difficult to realize it, but I finally found, and I explained it quite clear with the graph you've got just in front of you. All of us, if you want to describe what's in the left side of the graph, we would use obviously the term is. What is the thing that is in the left side? And we would say it is a lemon. Okay? If you want to do the same with which is in the center, it would be, let's say, an exclamation, or I think in English it's called squeezing. Okay? We would say, what's in the center? What is in the center? And then we would say, it is an exclamation, it is a squeeze. And in the left side, we would have the final result of this exclamation, which is obviously a lemon juice. Okay, the main problem is that what is in the left side and in the right side are beings. But the problem is that the thing that is in the middle is not, but ages. Some of you would say, okay, and what on earth is this ages? Look, here you've got a link in which you will see. I'm not going to enter because it's we have not so many time, but you can see this root, which is maybe the second most important root of all the terms that are used in all the language all over the world. Okay, in fact, it's the origin of the same word age, because age is all what a being does. Okay, the being in my structure is represented with a cube. Why? Because at the end of the day, as we're going to see, the cube is the origin of several vectors, several forces. Okay, and the aher in the infinite dimension is represented with a figure of a circle, because the basic representation of an action, the most primitive one, could be to push and make a stone or a wheel going around. Okay, for me it has been very important to reduce all the beings to the same figure and all the actions to the same figure, because the structure at the end of the day, you must understand, it is going to be like a very, very immense structure, like an immense library. Okay, but this library is completely empty. There are only shelves in each library in which I put the type of being and the type of action that must fill in, and that must be introduced to them, because this is structure at the end of the day is a universal structure. Okay, that is to say, that can be applied whichever is the language used. For me, it's not important that what you say being in your language is called ser or essere or être in different languages. Okay, so that means that at the end of the day, all the structure is going to be let's say infinite combinations of being and ages. In some occasions, the being is going to be a lemon. In some other occasion, it's going to be a buyer. It doesn't matter. The question is, we are always talking about a universal structure. It is based, in any case, on the yeah, here I got it. Sorry. It is based on the analysis of a single act. Okay, every time that there is a change of one being through an action, this composes an act that gives birth to a structure like the ones you are looking at. Okay, this structure analyzes when the act that is going to be done has been previously thought. Okay, is analyzed the thinking of what is going to be done in this part of the structure. Okay, this is what it says here, census. This is the, let's say, the normal, original, simple act in which one person thinking what he's going to say finally is going to make an act. The question is a little bit more complex when there is another one that also makes sense of what it's going to do, and then the consensus interact between them and creates an agreement like the ones we are going to say. Okay, but in any case, let me check a little bit, please. Yeah. In any case, the structure analyze what happens during an act in a very, very, let's say, strange way for a jurist, not for an engineer of computation. Okay. Basically, what it happens is that there is a characteristic in laws that is called the stereotypicity, okay, that makes that all the things that happen must be analyzed in different layers, which doesn't mean that all the layers are going to, at the end of the day, to act at the same time. But as if we are talking about an accordion, okay, this can be widespread or put in only one level. Okay, in this level, the one who's in the low side is the one in which the being is observed from the philosophical point of view, regardless of the ages or the action that is going to take place. Okay. In this case, we could see there is the different pieces that are necessary to build to build the car. We've got also a lemon, and we've got a dominus, the owner of any type of good. Okay. In this side would be the action that, but we are going to analyze here. Okay, in any case. So basically, and after thinking what we are going to do, which is going to be at the end of the day to take all these pieces and transform them into a car, or to make an exprimation of this lemon and to transform it into a lemon juice, or to make that this ownership is transferred to another owner, okay, which is going to take place here. Here is the being, here is the thinking of what we are going to do, and at the end of the day, here takes place the action, which is the assembly of these pieces. In the other part of this act would be the assembly. Okay. After this would take place the pieces that stop being. This is what it's called the effect. Okay. Then we will have all the different sequences. These three you can see. That could be I need more money, or the worship begins to be scarce of pieces, and then all together will go to a consequence, which is the union of all the different sequences, in which we would have all these questions that we are talking about. Okay, this structure analyzes, but always separately one thing of another. In the middle of the act and the actatus, actatus is the result of the act. Okay, is the cause. About the cause, I've got here an explanation that is very interesting. Sorry, where is it? Okay. Let me see. As I told some people that have helped me to introduce you to this conversation, A few days ago I explained them, which is the function of the cause in the phenomenology that happens in the universe. All the scientists considers that the way to explain what happens in the nature can take place through the cause-effect relationship. The problem is that this relationship is false. Why? Because the only thing that can provoke an effect is not a cause, is an action. Okay? The cause, in fact, is what the mind established in order to make a relationship between the action and the effect. I gave him an expression that an example that I'm going to give you also to all of you. Let's imagine that we are in a forest and we see someone using a match going close to some grass and then provoking little by little the production of an enormous fire. This is installed in your mind, in your memory, up to the point that if some years later I show you the phenomenon, but only in the final of this phenomenology, the fire, and then I show you 3 possible origins of it, and I show you a man with a match, a man with a spade, and a man with a hose, you will, if you are designing what you're thinking, you will make a right line between the fire and the man with the match. And this is what we call in laws an accusation, because accusation comes from ad causare, that means put the cause close to someone. And at the same time, you are excusing the rest of the people. Why? Because you are putting the cause outside of the rest of the people. Okay, so this structure, at the end of the day, what it makes is to analyze which are all the combinations of beings and actions that can take place in whichever type of act. Obviously, the question is to analyze the most difficult and strange cases you can imagine, so that if it's more simple, you can always use the structure. But I can promise you the structure has millions of combinations. Here you've got, I don't know if you can find the graphic. You can see the graphics. Yes. Here you've got all the type of actions that can take place. The coaction, the interaction, the justaction, the interaction, and the circumaction. If all these terms are strange for you, you've got in the upper side, in the right upper side of the graph, the different links, so that you could see that these terms were used in the past. Some of them are very used even nowadays, because an interaction is not a strange word for any one of us. Okay? Also, in interactions and so on. This will help you to understand figures that are completely misunderstood in the modern right. Like, for example, what happens with the term free. We are always talking that we are free to express whichever we want in life. Okay? This structure analyzes you how the expression of something must be protected or not protected by a law. Liberation, which is something like more or less like free, liberation is an interaction that is made by a liberante, the one who's what the central action, which is the expression, and the one who is expressing. Liber is a word that includes the root lib, which is the origin of the word libidus, and means that is loose, liberated, okay? Liberation means, in this interaction, then that this expression, what you are saying, is liberated for any type of vexation, like an insult, for example. So, the correct construction of this figure should be not that I'm free to say whatever I want, I'm entitled, I have the right to say whichever I want, even if it's insult, okay? And you must change this for the idea that only when your expression is liberated, expression is that is a type of action, only when your expression is liberated by your vexation, your action is a legitimate action. Okay? No one should understand that we are free to say whatever we want. The freedom of expression doesn't mean that we can do whatever we want. If we are in front, for example, of a bifurcation, that is to say, the place in which we can go to the right side or the left side or the center side, we must see what happened when the law says if we go to one side or we go to another. If we go to the left side, maybe the law says you can go there free. You can drive free for these places. Another one in the middle could say you can go, but with a restricted way. And then the other one is law could say it is forbidden. Okay? In such case, you can go for any of these three. It's a question of presence, of potence. You can go for whatever you want, but you are not free to go for whatever you want. Why? Because the word free in Latin, liber, the end of liber, that is to say, means comparison. And that means that in the correct expression is not free for, but free from. Free from. Okay? So the idea of doing in law something free doesn't mean that you can do it, because you can do what has no consequences, or you can go for those in which you are going to be fined. In any ways, even if you know that you're going to be fined, you can go the other way by this way. But the problem is that you are not free of consequences to do so. Okay, and all this structure take also into account that are composed. This structure of about 36 philosophical dimensions, in which every term refers to a different type of reality. For example, innocent. When you talk about an innocent, is someone you can't you can't appoint with the finger. But when you are talking about the innocence, you are going to do a gesture like this, as if you are not talking about someone in particular. Okay, there's this difference between innocent and innocence. Okay, the first character is in situations like this, the other one is in situations like this, like that. Okay, this structure is very, very important to be learned and to be used because, for example, in criminal law, because take also into account that this structure can be used whichever is the discipline we are talking about: civil law, criminal law, commercial law, urbanistic law, administrative law, whichever you are talking about. In fact, I'm a civil specialist, but at the same time, I've made treaties in all the different areas of laws, even in criminal law. In this graphic you've got in front of you, it is constructed one of the most important offenses of the criminal Spanish law, which is the undue appropriation. Okay, the text, the criminal code, Spanish code, has nowadays 120 basic types. What is called the basic types. We are talking about basic types and sub-basic types. Okay, with this structure, these offenses are reduced up to 12. Up to 12. Why? Because the rest of the offenses are not really offenses, are only I don't know if I say properly, aggravant circumstances, interactions, etc., etc. Okay. Also, the structure is going to, and with this, I think it could be convenient I end my intervention. This structure also is going to help you to understand that the base of all the law system is purely spiritual. Okay, all the professors of law in all the countries I checked used to make a confusion between a contract and an agreement. Okay, up to the point that there are some people that do not realize if it's really the same. The problem is that they do not understand that the real access of the structure of let's say obligations and contractual part of the system is not the contract but the agreement. Okay, an agreement, let's imagine, could be like water, the water that could be into a glass of water. Imagine for one moment that we are tainting this water so that it could be seen as colored in red. This is the agreement without a contract. Okay. At the same time, the combinations could be as follows: a contract without an agreement. It could be a simulation. An agreement that it's only a part of a contract. There's no problem. Maybe the agreement is much bigger than what is finally put into a contract. We can know which is the content, in that case, partially through the contract and partially with the witnesses that can have taken place. The agreement that exceeds the contract, sometimes two agreements into a contract. There is a very famous Incoterm that is used in the international buying and selling of products, which is the CIF, which is a combination of a buying and selling contract plus a contract of transport. And even there can be, in some occasions, that the same contract is divided, the same agreement is divided into contracts. One of the typical cases was a very famous case that happens here in Spain. some students went to an academy of English here in Spain and were convinced to become students of this after the man who was in the academy told them, don't be afraid because of the payment, because I work normally with a financing company that has a previous agreement with me. In that occasion, some of people that were going to say, sorry, I would like to have classes, but I cannot pay, finally say, okay, I make the agreement. The problem is that in these occasions, not only the agency of languages, but also the financing company are very, very intelligent and obliged to the student to sign in separate both contracts, and both contracts are not connected. What is the problem? That all of the legislations in the world says that it is the contract and not the agreement, the one who makes the conditions of parts in the contract. What happened in the case that this Academy of English finally went to bankruptcy, and then the financing company said, I don't give a damn, keep on paying me the questions. Some courts said that failed in favor of the students, but because they considered that what there was between the two contracts, there were a cause. The problem is that there is not a cause. There's not a cause between a contract and another. The real thing that is in common between the two contracts is that there is only one agreement that has been divided in a perverse way because of each party in such occasions. At the end of the day, this is only a simple application of very famous advice that give us the famous karateka Bruce Lee, "Be water, my friend." That when he said what we can see here in this occasion. Let me check it. If you are, some of you are old enough, you will see, you will remember this understanding. Basically, this man is saying, empty your mind, be formless, shapeless, like water. You put water in a bottle and it becomes a bottle. You put water in a teapot, it becomes a teapot. Water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend. Okay? So, such occasion, and for all the students that in the future that would like to come with me and become my disciples in the developing of this structure, not only in the algorithmic development, but also in the legal point of view, they will realize that the structuration of this humanities area is very, very mathematical, but at the end of the day is also very, very spiritual. Thank you very much for you.
Thank you, sir. I think I speak for everyone when I say that this presentation has initiated a new line of thought regarding the application of multiple disciplines to the field of artificial intelligence and law. So with your permission, may we now start with the question and answer session? Jose, sir? Am I audible to you?
Yeah, yes.
Sir, with your permission, can we start with the question and answer session, sir?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, sir. May I now please ask Shivangi ma'am to kindly take over?
Thank you, Repti. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, sir, for such an insightful session. I think now we know a lot many concepts about AI, and we'll quickly begin with our question answer session. So for the first session, the first question which we are having is being put up by Yash. He's asking, the evolution of legal doctrines has been mainly attributed to the critical thinking which judicial officers, especially the judges, are endowed with. Will the algorithms, when seen in context of their symmetric arrangements being developed by you, sir, be endowed with such a capability? Is the question which he's posting on the algorithms, sir, which we discussed.
Okay. If it's possible, could you make the question a little bit shorter?
Sir, can I repeat the question once again? Because since we
Yes.
have received it on the chats, so it's little, we are not able to show it. So I'll just repeat the question once again, sir. So it's basically on the symmetric arrangement which you spoke about. So he is asking that the evolution of the legal doctrines which are being made now, and will the algorithm which has been made by you, the context is being developed by you, can it act as a help for the judicial officers, especially the judges?
Okay, okay, thank you. Now I understand, sorry.
Yes, sir.
We are making experiment in the High Court of one of the most important audience, we say here in Spain, in Castellón. Okay, so because it is very important to show to all the legal professionals that
Yes,
this is not an enemy. Okay, we have made some experiments and we found that we can reduce up to 1/4, the fourth part of the time consumed in solving a court case. Okay, could be done in the 25% of this time.
Okay.
With this period. In fact, yesterday I had a meeting with one of the magistrates, and they are going to appoint me as magistrate of this Supreme Court. Supreme Court, no, the High Court, sorry, of Castellón. Okay, because they want me to learn them to the application of these structures to some very difficult cases they have in maritime law and also in insurance law. So we are going to, I think we could be capable of publishing our experiments no longer than Christmas.
Okay.
The judicial experiences, okay? Because the other type of experience with the lawyers are already taking place, okay?
Okay, sir. So the next question is being put up by one of our student named Gargi Singh. She is asking that how to address the privacy concern which is related to the use of AI.
The privacy, how can we protect the privacy?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
What are the privacy concerns which we just face when we use the artificial intelligence, and how can we protect the same?
Yeah. Let's say in this moment, up to the moment that this technology is developed through the algorithmic development, which we could provoke the possible robotization of ADR systems or court systems. Up to this moment, what we want is this structure to be used as a simple software computer system that is used by the judge in order to order the cases that, as you know, are basically introduced by the clients and even sometimes by the lawyers in a very chaotic way. This structure helps to locate every data in the structure and offer the the judge the solution. But in the structure, the data of the people that are judged are not translated to the sentence. That is to say, the system respects the confidentiality of the people who intervene into it. Okay, but also take into account, and I don't know if it's the same in Spain that in India, but all the except some special cases like the ones regarding the childhood or tutorships or things like that. All the judgments are public, and the results are published in all the in all the medias. Normally by putting only the capital letters of the people who have intervened into it. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Our next question is being posted by one of our assistant professor of New Law College, Astha Srivastav. Ma'am is asking that, in your view, sir, how can AI be more instrumentalized for the effective functioning of our legal system?
Please, if it's possible, another time.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Sir, ma'am is asking that how AI can be instrumentalized for more efficient functioning of our legal system.
Okay. Let's say I'm just a few days ago I fulfilled 25 years of experience as lawyer at court. Okay, so I can tell you I know what I'm saying. The main problem of courts is not a question of means. It's not a question of studies or it's a question at the end of the day of order and criteria in the analysis of the case. Okay, if the case is properly analyzed, I consider that even if you are a neophyte, someone that uses for the first time this structure, the solution can take place, as I told you, 25% of the time we normally need. If we are talking about someone that is quite used to it, the time can even be reduced. Take also into account that at the end of the day, even if you've got a file of 2,000 of pages in front, at the end, the solution is regarding only 2 or 3 central ideas. Okay, it's very hard to say this to some people. Okay, but law is a science. We've seen you can use sometimes the oratory to as a technique to go to the left side of the mind. But at the end of the day, we as lawyers, we are doing the same that the physicians or the pharmaceuticals are. We are observing the nature, watching the cows in which we are living, finding patterns to solve these questions, and if it's possible to solve it the same way. What is not possible is that we go with a case to the court of Mumbai, the number 3. They give you a solution, and if you go to the number 7, they give you a different solution. This is something that we consider that is not going to take place in that case. It is not only a question of only of time. As I told you, it's not so important, the reduction of the time in the solving of the cases, but what is important is to see, to precise which is the correct criteria to solve the case. To say fail correctly, even if it's late. What is ideal is correct solution, good time, but it's more important even the correct solution. Okay?
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Next question is being posted by Sonal. She's asking, how far will the idea of treating AI as a human or a legal entity for that matter be successful?
Could you repeat it, please?
Yes, sir. So the question has been posted by Sonal. She's asking, how far will the idea of treating AI as a human or a legal entity will be successful?
Okay. Let's see. My personal opinion is that what is being sold up to this moment regarding artificial intelligence and law and all and other types of products regarding law and computerization are a little bit of smoke nowadays. Why? Because it's impossible to make the development of any type of product without a language. What I finally found is not even a structure, is not even a solution, it's not even a way to do the things in a different way. It's the language that is necessary to solve this. Okay?
Okay, sir. So the next question is being posted by Anjali. She is asking, how will AI help to improve the existing laws and statutes in the scenario or where a country that doesn't have law at all or direct any law to a related particular case?
Okay. As I have told you, this project has 3 big branches. 2 of them regarding the business, which is particularly something that is not the one I really love the most. Okay. For me, as not only lawyer but also professor in the university, what it really I love more of this project is to find the way to make the people learn which are their rights, whichever is the place where they live in the world. Okay? When we are talking about the third world, I consider that we are living in a world in which most of the people do not react against the situation in which they are because they are not really aware about the rights they have. My structure, I don't want to say this structure can teach law to people of about 14 years old or more, whichever is the place in which they live, with an online system, by using all the materials I put in their hands, okay, and whichever is the economical capacity they have. This is one of the biggest objectives I have in my hand.
Okay, sir. Okay. So we do have many questions, but for that we'll definitely mail all the questions to you so that the students and all the professionals can have the queries. But for we are looking into the time constraint, this is the last question which I want to pose to you, sir. It's been sent by a student of our named Nidhi, and she's asking that even after such developments in AI, the legal fraternity is still more focused towards the traditional approaches. And how can this be removed?
Okay, another time, please.
Yes, sir. So, even after the developments which are being taking place in the field of artificial intelligence, we can see that our legal fraternity is still more focused towards the traditional approach, as in they are still into their comfort level. So how can this be removed and we can move ahead, with taking up new approaches of AI in the legal field as well? So this is the question which has been asked by her.
Okay. Let's see. Let's see. This structure is a simple tool. Okay. In fact, now I have the idea of what could be the most typical quick applications we may have. But in the future, your university or the University of Harvard, with which I'm going to talk, will suggest whichever other applications that can take place. In fact, I haven't introduced you because of time. One of the most important applications I think that this structure can help to, which is the natural language processing. Okay. Why? Because basically what the people who are working with this question, what they are doing is to simply imitate the way the man talks. Okay, we know that the man doesn't talk very well, so if this is what it happens, the robot will simply emulate it. This structure doesn't change the way the man talks, but roughly, but it changes a little bit and makes to the robot the correct explanation, so the way the different words are structured. I'm going to give you a very, very simple example so that anybody could understand.
Yes, sir.
There are some type of actions, that is to say then some type of circles, that are, let's say, of a higher category than the rest. One of them could be, for example, the reaction. If you go to your dictionary, your college dictionary, you will see that reaction is the action that, against someone that has acted against us, something like this. Okay? Okay. But the problem is that people do not realize that a representation or a refriendation are types of reactions. Okay. The problem is that I don't know if I have got time to show you this. Let me check it. Let me check it. Here you got it. Do you see now the graph? Yes?
So we are not able to see. I think you need to share your screen for the same.
Share the screen otra vez.
Yes, sir.
¿Cómo se enseña la compartir pantalla? Aquí. Okay. Now?
Yes, yes, sir. Now we can.
You got it? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Look, there are a lot of type of actions. Here, You could put thousands of them. Okay?
Okay.
The question is that a representation and a reflection are type of reactions. An omission, the B is lost in the process of the linguistic, and the obligation are type of actions. The circumnavigation, which is what was done by Magallanes, the first one to go all over the world with a ship. A circumnavigation is a type of circumaction. A section, which in the origin was a C action, C means apart. Separation means you put apart. Succession, the same. Okay?
Okay.
There is one way to structure all the different beings and actions of the language. In our case, we are talking about more than 80,000 vocables, words in our dictionary. There is one way to reconduct the 40,000 words to the being and the 40 to the actions. When you are capable of doing this, you are capable of handling 80,000 words as if you were playing with a little puzzle. You understand? So imagine what does this we can mean in order to make the natural language process. That's what I wanted to say. Okay?
Oh, okay, sir. Okay.
Is at the end of the day, we have discovered at the end of the day the function of each word, the function of each word. Okay? For me, it's not important if action is said in the, let's say, Maharashtra, which is the only word I know in Indian. Okay? The question is that Maharashtra and your Maharashtra and my action is going to be located here. The result is going to be located here. The effect is going to be located here. The sequences are going to be located here. The effect is going to be located here. You understand what I mean?
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, sir. And now I request Gauri Bansal to kindly render the vote of thanks.
Gauri, can I just take a second, Gauri? Before we go ahead with the vote of thanks, can I please request Dr. Aman Mishra, the advisory board member from KAIL, who has very kindly joined us today, to speak a few words. Sir, please.
Yeah, thank you for the great session. We really enjoyed. And I'm sure that this is just a bite that we have started taking, and there is a lot more in it in the basket, which I'm sure that you will come to India very soon and we would work together. And our students will be more than happy to work under your guidance. I think in India, so in 2018, Supreme Court has issued guidelines and said in India that it's high time that we should introduce artificial intelligence to the legal systems. And already there are some people, those who are working closely with the legal system on the AI that can possibly nurture into. But I'm sure that with the Dr. Jose's idea, we can surely revolutionize the future of the legal education, and of course with some of my students for sure. So this was just a basic introductory webinar, because there is a lot more in the coming days that we are going to focus on, of course with the help of Dr. Jose. And we are actually waiting for the time that normalcy returns to our place here, so that we can invite the resource persons, great resource persons like Dr. Jose, who was very much kind enough and positive all the time. He has been communicating to us all the time. And I also like to thank Revati, who was equally very much eager. And I want to assure all the registered members of the Khel team that this is just an introductory part, and there are many more to come. And surely the main purpose of the Khel to provide the guidelines, the firm guidelines to the government, because in India the development in artificial intelligence is still in the bullock cart, and the application to the legal system is not very much can be seen. But soon our center would like to take a lead in this area and in this domain, and surely I'm hopeful that the KL would be the robust center of research in the future for the artificial intelligence. I sincerely thank Dr. Jose. That is wonderful.
Thank you.
Revati, you can take over.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you so much. May now please request our student Gauri Bansal to please render the vote of thanks. Gauri.
Good evening, one and all.
Good evening.
On behalf of the Center for Artificial Intelligence and Law, KAIL, Bharati Vidyapeeth deemed to be University, New Law College, Pune, I take this opportunity to propose the vote of thanks on this occasion and express our gratitude to everybody who has directly and indirectly contributed to this webinar on artificial intelligence and law organized by our institute. At the outset, we place on record our sincere gratitude to the chief guest and resource person, Dr. Jose Luis del Moral Barilari, who took out time from his busy schedule to be with us today to impart knowledge. Sir, we are really enlightened by your insightful words. It was our privilege to attend this webinar today, and this will surely encourage us in our future events. We would also like to express a word of thanks to our beloved principal ma'am, Dr. Bhagyashree Deshpande, for being a constant source of support and motivation. We are also very grateful to Dr. Aman Mishra sir for his guidance and efforts. Our word of thanks also goes out to our faculty coordinator, Revati S. Murli ma'am, for making this event a reality. We further extend our gratitude to all the faculty members of New Law College, Pune for their cooperation. I would be failing in my duty if I do not express our sincere gratitude to the organizing committee and non-teaching staff. Last but definitely not the least, our heartfelt thanks goes out to the student members and participants of this webinar for their enthusiasm towards the event. With this, we come to an end of today's webinar. We hope that this has been an enriching experience for everybody. Thank you one and all. Stay safe and healthy.